Hello and welcome to the Ranking Show. I'm Zach Bruner, Trevor Land in the middle, Luke Rammer on the right. As always, every Wednesday night we'll go through my rankings on flurrysports.org. If you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description so you can follow along, ask questions, ask any fantasy-related questions as we go along, but these rankings are in half PPR, and we will be comparing them to the rest of the industry consensus, see where we are higher, where we are lower. And I also started to create our boom bust consistency tool last night as well. So I might throw in some stats with that. I think there's some interesting stuff. So if you guys have any questions also about how any player has performed, I got like half of it done, so I might have it. But yeah. Anyway, let's just jump into quarterbacks here.
Zach, before we jump in, shout out to Trevor for beating Justin in Pirate League.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out Trevor.
I have been called the Rocky of Flurry Sports by people who they will remain anonymous. Yeah, but I've heard it around the grapevine.
I'm sure you have.
Heard it whistling through the trees.
Yeah. If
over the horizon.
If anyone hasn't played a Pirate League out there, doesn't know what it is, I don't know what your guys' opinion is. I think it's pretty fun. Like, obviously I'm winning, so I have a different point of view, but I think it's interesting. And I feel like a team that makes like a late season run could easily win it all, which I think is kind of cool too.
Yeah, I think it's fun, other than I lost like 5 of the first 6 weeks, so my team got pretty diminished. But it's fun, like in my case, then you really have to be on top of your shit on the waiver wire.
True.
I like it too. I was the opposite. I started 4-0, lost to Justin, and then went like 1-7 the past 8 weeks. Like, you still always have a chance. It's good. Out of all the free leagues, that's the one that I care about the most, which is rare because I don't like free leagues.
Same here. But yeah, let's just jump into quarterbacks here. So, interesting week, I would say. I have Tom Brady number 1 at the Falcons. That was the easy one. After that, I have Lamar Jackson at the Steelers at 2, Josh Allen versus the Patriots at 3, Patrick Mahomes versus the Broncos at 4, Jalen Hurts at the Jets at 5. Trevor, what's your opinion of those 5 quarterbacks?
I like them all except for Jalen Hurts. A lot of this is probably me venting because he has screwed me over so many times. I am not touching Jalen Hurts. Like, he's a horrible quarterback, like, if we're being honest. Like, not even fantasy. Like, just overall, he's a bad quarterback. The only thing he really has is his legs, which is the only reason he's relevant. And that ankle injury scares me because even if it hurts him a little bit, we know he can't make up for it any other way. And so I just don't know where he's going to go. Like, he should have a solid floor, but I just don't want to bet on him.
So obviously here they play the Jets. The Jets are bad. So he should be able to get something going with his arm a little bit, even with the ankle injury. So I don't hate the pick at 5, but Trevor, I understand what you're saying. that ankle injury is a little concerning for a guy who uses his legs so much. But Zach, I'm very happy you put Tom Brady number 1 because as I was writing my survivor pool, I picked Tampa Bay for the lock, but I halfway after I was writing, I realized that I already had chosen them. But this is a get right game for Tom Brady, right? He got very lucky in my mind last week, where the ground game is working for them. New England, Tampa's a 3 seed right now. If they win, and Arizona loses, and there's 3 teams at 9-3, and I think it's a lot more fun to play playoff football in the warm than it is in the cold. So I would imagine we see gunslinging Tom Brady these next couple of weeks.
You would think so. I think not having Antonio Brown's really hurting him.
Yeah.
And that news came out today that they're expecting him out at least a couple more weeks, which sucks. But the Falcons, man, they're bad. For some reason, Matt Ryan scares me a little bit. I don't know why. Like, I just don't know what to expect from him. He should be terrible this week, but man, I don't know why he's even trying. But yeah, I think he's fine. Jalen Hurts, I am not respecting that news report of an ankle injury, I guess. If it's a severe ankle injury and he actually can't move, then yeah, he's fucked. But I think he's going to be fine. I think he'll get shot up with whatever he wants to get shot up with, and he'll be cool. Like I said, I was up doing some of that boom bust table last night, and Jalen Hurts is the most consistent quarterback in fantasy football. He's been a starter, which is a top 12 guy, 83% of the time. However, like that's not me saying he's an amazing play, because he's been a top 3 guy 8% of the time, which is not very good. So he's almost always a starter. He's never going to lose you a week. He's just not usually going to win it for you on his own. So yeah, that's why I'm at 5. And also to your point, Luke, like he should be able to pass against the Jets. If you can't, that's pretty sad. So hopefully he gets something going this week, but I guess we'll see.
You have Lamar Jackson at 2, which, me being a Lamar Jackson fan, I love. But is there a team more suited to stop Lamar Jackson with fast linebackers than Pittsburgh?
It depends on which Pittsburgh team shows up, I guess.
Yeah.
They have not been good. There's been some drama now that they're actually losing. There's been some drama coming out of Pittsburgh. So we'll see how together that team is. I don't think there's a team, like if Lamar Jackson is playing at his peak, I don't think there's any team suited to stop him.
That's fair.
Which is, the most cliche sports talk answer of all time. But I think that's true. And the thing is with the Steelers, like their front 7, their linebackers, like you said, are super quick, super good. Their secondary's not. And the whole thing with Lamar Jackson is you can't bring him down. So if he avoids that pressure, then he should be able to find open receivers. So I think he's quite literally, I think this week, boom or bust. I think he's going to be great or he's going to be terrible again.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to go off of that, the Ravens have so many different run schemes and running plays and stuff. It's kind of hard to game plan against. I just figured, Pittsburgh's always been known for their blitzing, and they probably saw what Cincinnati did to Baltimore blitzing.
I also don't know the status of TJ Watt. He was put on the COVID list. He was put on it quite a while ago, so I think he'll be fine. But yeah, obviously, if he's out, that's a massive loss. And that makes me like Lamar Jackson more, obviously. Other quarterbacks here. I have Taysom Hill at 13 solely because, I want to put him higher. But I'm scared of Sean Payton overthinking. I think it makes sense for him to be the starter, not a gimmick guy. But then there's these cheeky reports coming out he might be the starter after practicing as the starter all week. Who knows? And I could totally see him doing that and then just not playing him, which would be hilarious to me, but so stupid. I don't know why they would do that, but that's why I have him at 13. If Taysom Hill plays every snap at quarterback for the Saints, or 80% every once in a while there's a gimmick play, I think he's a top 10 guy. I believe I wrote about this a few days ago. I believe he has 6 starts where he's played over half of the snaps at quarterback. And in those 6 starts, I believe he has 7 rushing touchdowns. And obviously, if he gets a rushing touchdown, he's going to be fine. So I like him this week. I know, Trevor, you've had questions about him. And again, I'm separating fantasy and real life quarterback here, obviously. But what's your thoughts on him for fantasy?
In one of my leagues, I just gave up, just collapsed. So I said, screw it, scorched earth. I dropped Jalen Hurts, and I picked up Taysom Hill just because I said, screw you, I'm going for it all. I like him too. Here. Yeah, pretty much. I like him. Again, like we talked about, actual quarterback, he's not good. I don't understand that contract. But fantasy-wise, like you said, if you need any question about how big rushing touchdowns are, look at Jalen Hurts. It's very possible he has 2, especially seeing how Kamara is, right? He's going to take some rushing away from Kamara. And if Kamara's hurt, they might lean on Hill more. I doubt it, but it's a possibility. So for that reason alone, I think he's a top 10 guy, but 13 is safe with, all the crap gimmicks they like to throw out, even when it's detrimental to the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Luke, are you of the same thought, basically? Oh, there you go. Perfect. That was fast. That was impressive.
That was really quick.
I got good at this meme thing. But Yeah, Zach, I'm in the same boat as you. Like Taysom Hill's not a good quarterback. I don't think they win this week because they have Taysom Hill starting at quarterback. But the rushing upside's there. Obviously, once they get to the red zone, especially if Alvin Kamara doesn't play, I don't even think they even look to Mark Ingram maybe once on a 1st and 10 from the 12 or something. But I think Taysom Hill takes it all. It kind of reminds me of Cam Newton last year a little bit. But I do think, Taysom Hill is susceptible to fumbles, he's susceptible to interceptions and stuff. So I think you may see a couple negative points from him, but the rushing alone should be able to make up for that somewhat.
I agree. And as of last night, at least, for Taysom Hill to score a rushing touchdown was like plus 265 on Betway, which is where I was having to write an article. That's stupid odds for him. Like if he's going to start at quarterback, he's probably going to score. So go ahead and do that. Any other? I will say Teddy Bridgewater, there was question marks about how healthy he was. He somehow avoided the injury report like a day or two after saying he's nowhere near 100%. So I think one, that tells you what they think of Drew Lock, and two, I don't know. Teddy Bridgewater is so uninteresting to me that I don't even care that he's injured. But I'm going to rank him in the 20s every single week. Any thoughts on him against Kansas City? Is there any optimism?
I mean, the matchup's there, right? But what they're going to do with Teddy Bridgewater, who knows? I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is the perfect guy to, just torch Kansas City for 5-yard drags the whole game.
Sure.
Although I do like Tim Patrick catching a touchdown.
Of course. It's always the time. Trevor, I know you wrote him up as a streamer. Is that sort of by default because of his ownership, or do you actually like him?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like there aren't a ton of great options in terms of under 60% ownership and like good matchups and buys as well. So I think that's part of the reason. And the other part of the reason was because, like Luke said, like he doesn't make a ton of mistakes. And I don't know if Kansas City can really force him to make mistakes. Like their defense has gotten better, admittedly. I just don't think they're at that point yet. And so I think he'll give you a stable floor, but only a 1 in 10 chance of hitting, 22 plus points, something like that.
That makes sense. Comparing my rankings to the industry, it's pretty much in line. I'm 2 spots higher on Hurts, Matt Ryan, Ben Roethlisberger, and Jared Goff. I'm 3 spots lower on Kyler Murray, which is the biggest difference. I have him at 6 against the Bears. Consensus has him at 3. I kind of just want to see him play again before I rank him as a top 5 guy. But then I'm slightly lower on Russell Wilson, Teddy Bridgewater, Andy Dalton. So any thoughts on any of those players?
Is Russell Wilson droppable? Like taking the name out of it, like he has been horribly bad.
Let's see what his schedule is. Obviously, he plays the 49ers this week. Then he plays Houston, which you would think is good. Then the Rams, then Chicago, Detroit. So quite honestly, if somehow he figures it out this week, feels healthy, and things start to click, that's a decent schedule. So, I mean, if you're fighting for a playoff spot, maybe I would drop him because I want to get a win this week. But otherwise, like if he figures it out, I'm cool with keeping him on my bench and seeing, I guess.
Yeah, just kind of wait it out and see what happens week.
Yeah. I don't know, man. He should be so much better than he is. He's just mentally not good, man.
Maybe he should have got a little more sleep during his 19 hours of rehab a day.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe he's still rehabbing.
I just wanted to ask you guys a question about quarterbacks in general. With I know obviously I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have Aaron Rodgers right now and is on a bye. Trevor, you wrote the quarterback streamer, I think, right? So just I don't know if you guys have numbers in front of you or just off the top of your head. Who's the number one guy to pick up if you have someone like Aaron Rodgers who's on a bye this week? Because obviously there's a big important week. People are trying to make a last playoff push, shit like that.
You can go, Trevor.
It's tough for me. Like Kirk Cousins' ownership has gone up a little bit, so that kind of obvious answer is gone. Derek Carr's ownership is up as well, For me, I'd say Carson Wentz, which he's been very good, like statistically, 21 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's not turning the ball over like the social media clips would make you think. The only problem I have for him this week is Houston. I mean, they could be up by 40 at the end of the first half, and then they're obviously just going to run the ball. So that's the only question I have. Although at the same time, I don't think there's such a big play threat that they get out to that big lead so early that they do just run the ball. But for the floor and for the player and how he's been, I think probably once.
I think that's fair. One thing I'll say about that matchup is I believe Lovie Smith is a good enough defensive coordinator to at least take away or attempt to take away what the Colts do best, which clearly is run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. So maybe they force the Colts to be a little bit more pass happy right away. Who knows? I mean, that's what the Buccaneers did. They just kind of they loaded the box, and Carson Wentz checked out of every single run until Frank Reich told him to stop it, basically. But yeah, we'll see. I have Sleeper up right now, and Taysom Hill is only rostered in a third of leagues. So, I mean, 2/3 of leagues, if he's out there, I feel comfortable picking him up and starting him personally.
And hey, if you're worried of feeling stupid, just point to me. I dropped Hurts for him. So there's always somebody worse than you.
The thing with Taysom Hill, too, is, it's tough to get 2 rushing touchdowns as a quarterback, but 2 rushing touchdowns is the same as 3 passing touchdowns. And It feels like if anyone in the league can get 2 rushing touchdowns as a quarterback, it's Taysom Hill.
He's done it. Yeah, I think that's a good call, especially to your point. You guys both said it earlier. If Alvin Kamara is not playing, I think he will play. But if he doesn't play, I mean, Taysom Hill kind of is the biggest beneficiary of that, I would say. Not even Mark Ingram.
And to your point, if he gets 2 rushing touchdowns, just 40 rushing yards, and does nothing else, that's 16 points.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
Yeah. Is there any other quarterback you guys want to talk about? Okay, running back. Again, half PPR scoring. I have Jonathan Taylor number 1 at Houston, so obviously I'm not too nervous about Lovie Smith, but I'm going to temper my expectations slightly on him, even though he's number 1. I have Joe Mixon number 2 versus the Chargers. He's been a stud. Austin Eckler 3 at the Bengals. Alexander Mattison at the Lions at 4. And then Leonard Fournette at the Falcons for 5. Luke, what do you think of those 5 running backs?
So Joe Mixon has been an absolute stud this year. All he does is scores touchdowns. The yardage isn't completely there, but he's got 4 or 5 games now with 100 yards. Went off last week. Chargers were at one point, I don't know if they still are, but they were the worst rush defense in the NFL. So this just seems like Joe Mixon's show. I say every week, and I still think it makes sense that Cincinnati should not use Burrow as much as they do because of how bad their offensive line is. And they have ran Mixon a lot, lately. So I do like Joe Mixon in the spot. I definitely think, he can contend for that number 1 spot, especially if Indianapolis goes up big against Houston quick.
I agree. Trevor, what do you think?
It has, obviously not overall. Fantasy-wise, though, when they're both starters, is Madison better than Cook? Like, there's only been 2 games, but rushing yards per carry has been more consistent. He gets more work in the passing game, too. Am I crazy for thinking that?
Do you think it's just a game plan thing, though?
That's what I'm having trouble with.
It's also matchup-wise, the 2 games that he got a bunch of carries with Seattle and Detroit. So, and he plays Detroit again this week, but I mean, it's a lot easier to move the ball.
That they suck.
No, that they hate Kirk Cousins so much that they wanted to stop him first. Dan Campbell's a big anti-Kirk Cousins guy.
I think that equates with they suck.
Okay, sure, fair enough. But yeah, to your point about a Mixon, he's one of the running backs to not be a bust this year, which is outside the top 36, I believe. Yep. So he's never been outside the top 36 in PPR scoring. Luke, if you had to guess, who are the other 2 running backs? One I think is actually surprising and interesting.
Derrick Henry.
Nope. I'm including the game Derrick Henry got hurt, so that's not fair.
Got it.
But yeah.
Eckler.
Eckler's one.
And Elijah Mitchell.
No. Any guess from you, Trevor? It is surprising you wouldn't expect it.
I would say Antonio Gibson.
Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs has been, where is he here? He has never been a top 6 guy. He's never been a bust, but he's been a top 24, which is a starter 78% of the time. So he's always okay.
So he's a definition of an RB2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, steady, safe, whatever. Which is whatever. I mean, that's fine as long as you drafted him there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, Austin Eckler has been a top 6 guy over half the time, a starter 72% of the time, never a bust. The exact same thing for Joe Mixon. They're studs. They're very, very good. Eckler obviously got a little bit of help that one game where the Browns threw him into the end zone, but that's strategy, chess, not checkers. What other running backs you guys want to talk about here?
You have Cordero Patterson at 8. Is that because he's when I was writing up my Survivor article and scrapped it all, I thought Cordero Patterson be used more in like a gadget role this game rather than, busted up the middle, and I assume that's why you have him ranked at 8.
Yeah, I would hope at least that they split him out quite a bit or pass out of the backfield, whatever. Like Tampa, at least they give up receiving yards to running backs. They just don't give up rushing yards. So if they run it up the middle with Cordero, I guess that's their own problem. I'm just hoping Arthur Smith makes a good decision here.
Fair.
A lot to ask, but I think he can do it. I do have Mike Davis at 46, though. And I can't say this enough. He is very, very droppable.
Yeah.
There's no hope for him. Looking at the boom bust, he has been a starter, 24, like top 24, 9% of the time. That is one game. And then he's been a bust 45% of the time. That's it. There's no hope for him. Quadri Allison looks better than him. Yeah, just get rid of him. No point in wasting a roster spot. Trevor, anybody you want to talk about?
Do you think we saw Breida look pretty decent? I mean, I think you and Luke predicted that. I know definitely you, Zach. And I see he is ranked below Singletary, which makes sense because Singletary got more work. Do you think this is how the backfield goes the rest of the season, with Singletary getting the work, Breida getting some passing love, and then Moss being the odd man out?
That's the way it's looking right now, especially because they made Moss a healthy scratch last game. Hopefully they keep doing that at least, because then we get it narrowed down to 2 people. We have a little bit more clarity. But man, like none of them impress me, I would say. There's not anybody running away with the job, pun intended there, I guess. Matt Breida has at least given a spark to this offense. I think Singletary's fine. I don't know. And then the game's against New England. So, I mean, I don't like either of them. I hate Zach Moss. And then outside of that, I don't know what they're going to do. I have no feeling.
I was going to say, like, Breida looked good. Like, I was like, oh, like, wow, he's a breath of fresh air. And I saw he averaged 2 yards a carry. And granted, only had 9. But still, like, that touchdown saved his ass. And he also only had 2 receptions. So I'm wondering if I got him mixed up with another Matt Breida or somebody who's on the field who wasn't getting stats, because that was weird.
Yeah, he has the most impressive 2-yard runs in NFL history. He's so fast. He sets the wreck. He gets there. He gets 2 yards super quick, then he goes down. I don't know. I think he's worth a pickup, I guess, if you're out there and you can stash like a 4th running back, probably. I don't think I'd want him to be a 3rd or anything. Because maybe he earns a bigger role. Maybe Singletary gets hurt and they really don't want to go to Zach Moss. I have no idea. I think Singletary's more of an every down guy, probably. Like in terms of he'll run it, he'll also catch the football. Matt Breida's probably the guy to come in when Singletary doesn't play well. That would be my guess.
Yeah, and it's so
Doesn't
tough
mean
for
I
them.
like anybody.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like any of them either. It's so tough for them to get a touchdown too, because in the red zone it's either
Yeah.
pass or Josh Allen rushing touchdown.
Yeah. Or Dawson Knox. He's been playing damn good now too. So yeah. Other running backs here. J.D. McKissick was carted off. He reportedly is fine. So any Antonio Gibson owners were like, who were feeling, oh, at least we get more passing down work now. That is not true. I think he is 100%. He was carted off, I guess, as a precautionary thing.
I was going to say he looked
probably
fine
because it looked bad.
Yeah, he looked fine when he was getting carted off.
Yeah, I think we said it yesterday. He was like dapping up people as the cart went by.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I know Sleeper said he was like walking around in the locker room after the game, which then I'm wondering why did they really check on him at that point, saying, all right, like let him do what he wants to do, or did they just not care? I don't know which one's more scary.
It seems like it was more of like a agenda pushing injury. Like, hey, let's remind the youth it's heads up football. Let's make sure you don't dip your head because it's dangerous. This guy dipped his head. Look at it. He's on a cart. He's waving to everybody, but he's on a cart. So I think that's kind of what it was. But I don't know.
Minnesota. Hopefully that Minnesota receiver from last Saturday can take the fucking hint.
It's like it's like Jameis Winston when he's celebrating with his crutches up in the air, dancing in the locker room.
Yeah, he's actually hurt, but Jameis is a different breed of human. I don't know.
Yeah, the NFL's a better place with Jameis Winston in it.
It is. It's definitely more interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
He is electrifying in every sense of the word. Other running backs, like I said, I have Alvin Kamara projected to be playing. I have him at 9. Having Taysom Hill at quarterback hurts him, not just because we saw Taysom Hill not check it down to him last year. I don't know if that's necessarily going to continue to be true. But like we said before, in the red zone, Taysom Hill is going to take the ball himself a lot. And that doesn't happen with Trevor Siemian, Drew Brees, etc. I don't like Ezekiel Elliott. I have him at 15 against the Saints. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 17. I think he has upside for better with Kyle Long coming back. DeAndre Swift is out. I have Jamal Williams at 20. What's your guys' thoughts on him, actually? So he plays Minnesota. He's probably going to see as many snaps as he can handle, but I have him at 20 because I don't think the touchdown upside's high. Thoughts, Luke?
Yeah, I'm with you. In one of our leagues, you guys may have saw that I put $50 in fab on Jamal Williams because I saw that I had like $180. I'm like, well, shoot, playoffs are 2 weeks away. I might as well start spending this. But I like Jamal Williams because I think, in my mind, DeAndre Swift is like the only good player and Penei Sewell on the Lions. With DeAndre Swift out, in order to somewhat be in this game, they need some sort of replacement. So I think, and DeAndre Swift's been, good for his role. He's not helping the Lions win, but he gets all the garbage time. He gets everything. So if Jamal Williams is, 3/4 of that, I'd be happy with him. And I do think he sees that. Minnesota linebackers, they're always good and fast, but just the volume alone makes Jamal Williams very appetizing this week.
I find it interesting that you said only 2 good players. I guess that Jared Goff fandom doesn't run as deep as you would put on for the media. Interesting.
No, he's
beside
been getting
the point,
into
though.
the Lions thing, like Stafford.
Sure.
It's not his fault.
Never. Look at his completion percentage.
Back to somebody relevant. Jamal Williams, I agree. I had nothing to add. I really just wanted to jab at Luke about Jared Goff. But he's good. I like him. He seems to have lost his swagger, and that makes me sad. Like, I get you're playing on the Lions, but like, try to act happy. Like, there's no way he actually feels like what did he say about like an ex didn't treat you right, and now somebody does. Like, this is an abusive relationship, man. You got a jet.
That's what I'm saying about Jared Goff too, man.
No,
I don't know. I think he gets it back this week. He'll be juiced. He knows he's the starter. He'll be dancing pregame. It's against Minnesota. He'll have it back. I feel good about it. Other guys, Philip Lindsay's on the Dolphins. Did you guys know that?
Interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Why does he keep getting picked up?
What is he like?
He is not that good.
One of the 8 running backs that they have there now.
Yeah, he got 12 carries last week, and he ran it for 42 yards. So not very good. but it was against Carolina. If he gets 12 carries against the Giants, don't be surprised if he steals a touchdown from Myles Gaskin. Just one last jab in the side of Myles Gaskin fantasy owners, I think.
Exactly. What are they doing? Like, why? Like, what does Myles Gaskin have to do to get the workload? Like, seriously, they're like, you did good, but there's another bum-ass free agent we want to pick up to get 2 yards a carry, so too bad.
Well, then you throw Salvin Ahmed in the mix, who's like in the game on every second, third down, and he's the one that they run like screens and stuff to.
Even though, Gaskin is... Why'd they draft him? Like, why? Like,
I don't know.
I initially was like hoping that they'd draft Jonathan Taylor with one of those 2 first-round picks because, they'd be a juggernaut and that would make sense. Now I'm really glad they didn't because he would be their third string back and he would only come in on goal line opportunities.
Yeah. Another running back, Adrian Peterson's now with the Seahawks.
Don't pick him up.
I didn't know that either.
I think he just got signed.
When is this happening?
That just happened today.
He got signed to the
last week.
Practice squad, I think.
Yeah, he'll get promoted. Like,
right.
I'm interested in it. I think more than anything, that just means like Alex Collins, if he thought he had value, he doesn't. I think that's all that means. Could Peterson... Nah, I'm not going to go there. He could be okay, I guess, but don't waste your time.
No faith in that offense.
No, not at all. Yeah, it's not good.
After scoring 15 against Washington.
Hey, Washington's tough. Compared to the industry, like I said, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I have him at 17. That's 5 higher. I'm 3 higher on David Johnson, who's at 35. 4 higher on J.D. McKissick at 42. Here's a name for you. I'm 9 higher on Austin Walter, who plays for the Jets. I have him at 53 because he got run last week. I guess look at him in a deep league. I don't know what to tell you. Only running back I'm really lower on is Jeff Wilson. I have him at 48, which is 8 spots lower. I guess I just don't know why people are ranking him at 40 or higher. Because Elijah Mitchell's healthy and going to play. So Jeff Wilson has no value, in my opinion, unless you thought that Deebo Samuel was stealing carries from him. I don't know. I guess that's my only thought.
I was going to say, everyone's going to try to make up for those Deebo 2 rushing touchdowns last week.
I guess. I don't know. Maybe pick up Juszczyk too. I'm not sure what you want. Do you have any thoughts on any of those running backs or any other running back you want to talk about?
Where's our boy Kabinda for the Lions? I sense some disrespect right here.
I thought about it. I put Jamar Jefferson at 55. Kabinda, like I said last night, he's linebacker eligible on Sleeper, so give him a look.
You know he's been in the league for 4 years. How?
Has he always been on the Lions?
I think so. I think that's the scary part.
Okay.
I'll search him up quick. It shouldn't be hard.
I did my Pro Bowl votes before the show, and he's on listed as a fullback, and I did vote for him. So you can go vote for him too.
So he was on Oakland in 2018, Lions the past 3 years. Because he is in as a fullback, Sleeper says PPR, he was 15th in 2020 and 13th in 2021.
Let's go.
So that says a lot about fullbacks, seeing he scored 1.8 and 3.2 points respectively.
Yeah, and hey, like I said, if you play in defensive leagues, I think he'll get a couple tackles every once in a while. I think he plays on special teams, and there you go.
To go off of that, I'm always a guy who's looking who plays different positions. Like Taysom Hill last year, I could start a quarterback at tight end. Cordero Patterson is a backup safety for Atlanta right now.
Really? He needs to be both downs. Yeah,
so,
that would be amazing.
Worst comes to worst, you're rooting for a 2 points on a Cordero Patterson interception.
That'd be incredible. He is. How is he good? I don't understand what's going on. He's great.
I think he's good. I think somebody finally gave him a chance. Like the other time he was good, he was on the Vikings, and they're the Vikings, so that doesn't mean much.
Very good kick returner.
He was good with New England. They were the first one to use him as a running back, and then everyone's like, "Oh, that's allowed." And then the Bears did it, and now the Falcons are doing it. So I thank Billy B for that decision, I guess.
Billy Bean?
Billy B, not Bean. Beans with the Bills.
Moneyball.
Billy Bean, shout out Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm. I don't
Never
think
seen
Zach
it.
got that reference, but
No, Brandon Beans with the Bills, though. I do know that. That's who I thought you were talking about. He's their GM. Okay, wide receivers. Let's talk about them. Number 1, Cooper Kupp versus the Jaguars. Number 2, Justin Jefferson at the Lions. Number 3, Tyreek Hill versus the Broncos. Number 4, Keenan Allen at the Bengals. And Stephon Diggs, 5 versus New England. I don't know, like, just reading that was the first, like, realization that I put him at 5. He's going to go down. I don't know who's going to go up, but I'm not going to leave Stephon Diggs there. Trevor, what do you think of those wide receivers?
Did Matthew Stafford forget Cooper Kupp existed? Like, what happened against the Packers? That was the one place I'm like, for sure he's going to go off, and he didn't even look at him.
I'm telling you, Van Jefferson's the best receiver in that group.
Unfortunately,
He's
he
not.
looked like it.
I think Stafford got jealous because Cooper Kupp threw a touchdown and then they took it away.
Yeah. But anyways, like, it legitimately, with the way the Rams looked, is it crazy that I wouldn't be surprised if they lost this game? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think they're
crazy.
bad. I don't think Jacksonville's good. But this, after seeing what I saw against the Packers, this has like Buffalo Bills 9-6 vibes. And it makes me scared for Cooper Kupp.
Whatever you want to say about Sean McVay, he's not going to get beat by Urban Meyer. I'm not scared.
Yeah, to me, this is a get-right game for the Rams that they might end up winning 42-0.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
like-
let it be known this will be clipped if they lose.
Yeah, that's fine. Like,
Please clip it.
Between Aaron Donald and Von Miller, there's going to be like 3 sacks, at least 1 touchdown probably. Like, they're going to just send the house every time.
In the
It's
first
going to be
quarter.
okay. Probably, yeah. I think it's going to be okay.
Remember Tom Brady throwing like 6 touchdowns in the first quarter, Monday Night Football or whatever? That's whatever version that is of this defense. That's what's going to happen.
Aaron Rodgers did it better, but
He did. I don't know, Luke, do you have any thoughts on those 5 receivers there?
I was just going to say there's nobody happier on earth that Tyreek Hill's playing football again than me. My weeks took a big hit last week. I got him in a ton of leagues. He was out. But Deante Johnson, you said you're going to move Stephon Diggs down. I like moving Deante Johnson up. Baltimore, for how good their defense was forecast to be. I know they got a bunch of injuries, but they give up the long ball a lot. And to me, this is a long ball receiver for the Steelers is Deontay Johnson. And I don't know if there's anyone in the league right now who likes taking more deep shots than Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, especially if he has time to do so. 4 wide receivers have not been a bust this year, at least in terms of the top 36 players. One of them is Deante Johnson. Trevor, do you know who the other 3 are?
I mean, that's a lot. I can only guess like 1, and I'll probably still miss it. Give us the other 2.
Okay. What?
Give us the other 2, so we only have to guess 1.
Keenan Allen.
Fine. Is he one? Yes, that was the one that was going to be like a surprising one, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's not surprising at all.
you're
He's
good.
on my team. Damn it, I should have guessed all 3.
Name the other
What was
2
that
then.
point?
The other 2 are obvious.
Oh.
Go for it.
Cooper Kupp.
This is.
Yep.
And
I'm not good with the obvious.
Devontae.
No. He was a bust in week 1.
That's right. Tyreek Hill.
No.
Adam Thielen.
Tyreek Hill. No. Deebo Samuel.
Oh, duh.
Oh, well, he's hurt. That doesn't count.
Oh,
He's
okay.
not on the list for me to look at. That's a trick.
Fair enough. Yeah, Deebo Samuel's been a stud. So sorry, people who had Deebo Samuel. But yeah, so Deante Johnson I like a lot. I think it's actually impressive that he's never been a bust considering that offense is so bad. It kind of shows just how many targets he gets and how big of a role he is in that offense. So,
He's like the DeAndre Swift of the Steelers offense.
basically, he's very, very good. Going down, like I said, Antonio Brown is a couple weeks out. So I like Mike Evans more of the two Buccaneers wide receivers. I know that is not true of the industry consensus. They, as a whole, rank Chris Godwin higher. I just feel like against the Falcons, it just screams long ball to me, and they're just going to find him wide open down the sideline. Do you guys agree with that?
Totally agree.
Yeah. DeAndre Hopkins is back this week. I have him at 12. Brandon Nyuk obviously gets a bump without Deebo Samuel. I have him at 14. This is one. I'm going to look at the consensus right now because I know it has to be bold. Okay, yeah. So I'm 12 spots lower on Jamar Chase. I have Jamar Chase at 17. The industry consensus has him at 5. What's your guys' thoughts on him? Because I clearly hate him more than most, I guess. But what's your thoughts on him?
Who are they playing real quick?
They play the Chargers.
I said it last week that Jamar Chase only has 3 100-yard receiving games this year. He hasn't, other than those 3 games, he's been fine, not anything special. And I think I said last week too, I think T. Higgins gets more involved. He scored a touchdown. I don't see why they stopped getting T. Higgins involved. Plus Tyler Boyd's there, Joe Mixon. There's just too many players there for someone to be a top 5 receiver.
Yeah, since he had 201 receiving yards and a touchdown week 7, he hasn't, in 4 games, he hasn't even surpassed 50 yards in the air. And only 2 of the games does he have a touchdown that's making him barely serviceable. I agree 100%. He's got the Chargers, San Francisco, Denver, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cleveland. I mean, out of all those games, I really only see Kansas City and maybe Baltimore that he does it again. He's just not been the same player.
No. And obviously, like we talked about with Mixon, facing the Chargers, their run defense is their weakness. So I would assume they run the ball. And to your point, Luke, there's a lot of players here. So it's not like they need to manufacture ways to get Chase the ball. If they take Chase out of the game, then they still have T. Higgins. They still have Tyler Boyd. They have Uzama. They have Mixon, who's a stud. So they're just kind of picking, make the defense pick their poison, essentially. And if they want to take away Chase, who's their easiest receiver to take away, it's like the same thing what they do with DK Metcalf. Just run deep and have a safety over the top, and Chase can't do anything. So, I don't know. I don't get the hype. I'm kind of surprised people have him at 5, considering I don't think has he finished at 5? He's finished 1 game above 5. That was a massive game.
I'm surprised that people have him ranked in the top 5 for top receivers in the league right now.
That too. Little overreaction, I would say. It's T.Y. Hilton week. He plays the Texans. We know what that means. I have him at 30. That is 12 spots higher than the consensus. Consensus has him at 42. Everyone knows, everyone on the Colts knows he plays better against the Texans. His nickname is Ghost because he turns into a ghost and gets behind the defense, and that was nicknamed when they played at Energy Stadium as Texans Stadium. He's going to have a big game.
T.Y. Hilton
always does it.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton's going to win a lot of people money in DFS this week.
Yeah. It's just easy, man. I don't know. Don't overthink it. Other players. Anyone else you guys want to talk about?
I was just going to say, do you think Brandon Ayuk slides back into his role from last year this game? Because Deebo Samuel kind of took that over this year.
Yeah. What's good about him, what we saw from him last year, to your point, taking over his role, not necessarily as the number 1 outside guy. They used him as a gadget player last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would assume they'd do that again. I don't know why they wouldn't.
Right, so, that's what I mean. Deebo Samuel's been running those screens and runs and stuff that we saw Brandon Ayuk do last year.
Yeah, look for him to take a jet sweep to the house against Seattle.
You're right.
It's probably a good call. Other players I'm higher on. I'm 6 higher on Brandon Ayuk, actually. I'm at 14, that's 6 higher. 3 higher on Jalen Waddle. I'm 9 higher on Hunter Renfrow at 16. I really like Hunter Renfrow without Darren Waller. I think he's going to soak up targets. 5 higher on Odell Beckham. I have him at 26. He was extremely used last week, heavily utilized. That's going to continue. He'll continue to see 10 targets. Higher on Jacoby Myers, higher on Rashad Bateman, Amari Cooper, AJ Green, Sterling Shepard, I'm 8 higher on. Jawan Jennings, he's going to be the guy who gets elevated on the 49ers. I'm 17 higher on him, only at 53, so not like a ton of respect there. But he is the guy to get elevated on that wide receiver core. Anything to say about any of those players? Yeah. I'm lower on Jamar Chase, Marquise Brown, DK Metcalf, T. Higgins. 3 lower on Van Jefferson just because we know what his role is, and that's run deep, and that's it. They don't utilize him in any other way, despite being quoted as the best route runner in that draft class. Like, they just have him run go balls, which makes no sense. Lower on Gallup, Sutton, Kendrick Bourne, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, Nelson Aguilar, Kadarius Toney, Darius Slayton. Thoughts on any of those players?
So, I mean, I don't know how relevant this is to people, maybe with Devontae Adams on a bye or whatever. But Zach, you said you were higher on Sterling Shepard and lower on Slayton. What's the thinking behind that?
I mean, if Shepard plays this week, he hasn't been playing, so I'm just assuming he plays, which I'm guessing other people may not be assuming that.
Okay.
I think he's probable, but like, he's the best wide receiver by far when he's healthy. So if he's healthy, I think he's just going to be utilized. Obviously, there's question mark. I don't want to play any of them if possible because there's Mike Glennon throwing them the ball. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Any other wide receiver you want to talk about? Okay, this is what everyone wants to talk about. Let's go to tight ends. The big tight end week. A lot of people out hurt. Some people out on a bye. I have Travis Kelce 1 versus the Broncos. George Kittle 2 at the Seahawks. Rob Gronkowski 3 at the Falcons. Mark Andrews 4 at the Steelers. And Dawson Knox 5 versus the Patriots. I do want to say quickly, I have Pat Freiermuth at 6. There's a lot of places not like labeling him as such, but he's in concussion protocol, so definitely watch that. But Luke, what do you think of those 5 tight ends?
Just talking about Freiermuth, just to add on that, like, the dude's a stud. He should be on your team in every league if you can get him. Roethlisberger's only looking at him in the red zone. But Dustin Knox, we kind of mentioned, Zach, you mentioned before, he's kind of been a stud. I don't see why that doesn't continue. He seems to be like the constant receiver on this offense, which is weird to say because they have they have a bunch of talented guys. But he's the guy who's really scoring the touchdowns. Before he got hurt, he was kind of dominating there for the tight end position. I think with him back, maybe that's where the Bills kind of took a downslide, trying to fill that role a little bit. He's back. So I do like Dustin Knox this week and going forward.
Agreed. What's your thoughts, Trevor?
I mean, kind of unfortunately, like every week, I think those top 5 are pretty set in stone. I'd assume Kittle gets back to where he should be, right? Like, he's been pretty disappointing recently. But on the topic of Pat Freiermuth, dude's really good. He is very, very good. I think he's in a weird place where people are like, yeah, he's good, but they're not giving him any like serious consideration. And I think that should change. He's well deserving of it.
So Freiermuth practiced today.
Did he? I think he practiced, but it's like the same thing as last week where someone practiced but weren't cleared of their concussion yet.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, and he ended up not playing, maybe? I'm not sure. Yeah, so I don't know what the deal with that is. Definitely watch it. I'm just going to compare to the consensus. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. We can do this. I was just going to say, Logan Thomas is back. He scored. That assumes, shining pot of gold right there, right, for tight ends.
Yeah, he ended up not scoring. That because
they called it
short. Yeah, because I was writing everywhere and I bet it like Logan Thomas touchdown. He's going to score. He did, and they called it short. So, but to that point, I am at 7. That's 6 spots higher than the consensus. And if you have to say or told me like who has the best chance to score out of any tight end, not named Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski, it would be him. Like once they get down to the red zone, he's going to see a target. As we saw, obviously he was an inch short or whatever the situation was against the Raiders. It's the same thing. I'm not trusting Antonio Gibson to be the goal line running back or, whatever. I think, if you're chasing touchdowns, he's your guy.
Yeah.
And he's probably not owned in a crazy high amount of leagues because he was hurt for so long. So definitely go check that out. Dawson Knox, like I said, I have him at 5. That's 3 higher. Pat Freiermuth, I have at 6. That's 3 higher. Logan Thomas, 7. That's 6 higher. Foster Moreau. He is going to be the starter for the Raiders with Darren Waller out. We've seen him play pretty well and be a featured part of this offense without Darren Waller before. I expect that to continue, especially with not very many respected pass catchers there. But I have him at 11. That's 8 spots higher than the consensus. Gerald Everett has been super involved for the Seahawks. I have him at 16. That's 4 higher. James O'Shaughnessy. We're getting in some good names here tonight. I have him at 22. That's 7 higher. Dan Arnold out for the season or fantasy season at least. So he's going to be the starter again. Then I'm just lower on TJ Hawkinson, lower on Dalton Schultz, lower on Tyler Higbee, Hunter Henry, and CJ Uzama. Thoughts on any tight end, Luke?
Just to speak on Fabian Moreau real quick. Darren Waller is such a big presence in that offense as he often gets double teamed. And, we've talked about how maybe he's not good enough to work against double teams. There's no reason for teams to double Fabian Moreau. I'm just wondering if Derek Carr's first read is going to be to tight ends now. And not seeing that double team, Foster Moreau is going to be the beneficiary of that.
Honestly, this game, I would assume the checks are Renfro, Moreau. If they're not open, look deep to Deshaun Jackson. I feel like that's the only thing they have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They have Zay Jones, I guess. But yeah, I think he's fine. And again, touchdown upside, I think it's there. Trevor, anybody? Any thoughts?
I hate tight ends, and that was compounded by TJ Hawkinson, who is 3 yards short of winning me $250 on Prize Picks. I still won 50, so that's cool. But he's an interesting guy. He's a guy that should definitely be getting more love in the Lions offense, and he's just not. I get the check down, that's part of your game, but I feel like they're not working him into the game plan as much as they should.
I agree. I mean, defenses are clearly trying to take him away, but there's times he's open. I don't know. They definitely should go to him more. And maybe they will without DeAndre Swift. I have no idea. I almost said Dan Quinn. Dan Campbell is an enigma. Dan Quinn, I guess, kind of is for different reasons, but I don't know.
We do have a question from Evan Rosales. It's subjective. Is Gibson going to have a good game? Washington
right
plays
to the point.
Vegas. I think he does all right. I think he's nothing special, but I think he has a solid RB2 day.
I have him at 11 right now. I'm probably going to move him down a little bit. But, he has a good chance to score a touchdown, and I'm not afraid of the Raiders' defense. So, you could do worse. There's that tier of running backs after, I guess, James Conner. Between Antonio Gibson and, Jamal Williams, Myles Gaskin, Josh Jacobs, Ezekiel Elliott. I'm just not excited about any of those players. And they could finish anywhere in that 10-player span, I feel like, personally.
Yeah. He's not going to Gibson's not going to be the number one back this week or anything, but he'll have solid, he'll get you RB2 flex numbers, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to bust or anything. Any other player you guys want to talk about before we do the guarantees?
I don't think so.
Do you want me to recap? Wait, we got a question first from Joshua Loyola. Which one at flex, Ayuk, Deontay, or Jamal Williams? Deontay.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed.
I vote that we give Luke we just give him a wash because he said DeAndre Swift 100 plus total yards and touchdowns, and he got immediately hurt. So I'm not going to count that against him. I said JT not top 15 running back. He was 12, sucks. And Matt Ryan 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns, which he did not even come close to doing. And Zach, you said Darnell Mooney top 20 wide receiver. I think he was like 17 or something. He was solid.
He was up there, yeah. He played well. Okay. I need your guys' help here to tell me like what's in bounds with this guy. Jamar Chase. So like I said, I have him ranked 17. Consensus has him 5. Is it bold to say he's not top 10, or do I got to go further down?
I think that's fair with where the consensus is.
12, 15 range. Yeah, I think you're good there, 10.
I'm fine with outside top 12 too. It doesn't matter. I just don't think he's going to be that good.
Yeah, fair.
So which one is it? Not top?
Go 12. Why not?
All right.
Luke, what's yours?
I alluded to it at the beginning of the show, but mine is Tim Patrick scoring a touchdown. This is a Trevor deep dive here. Hold on, I gotta pull it up real quick. Sorry.
Super deep.
Hey, respect the deep dive.
So like
I'm saying he's diving right now. We can see him on the diving board. He's going in.
Like us Packer fans do, we say the first week doesn't count in the season. Fluke week. But since week 2, Tim Patrick, week 2 scored a touchdown, went 3 weeks without a touchdown, scored a touchdown, went 3 weeks, and now this would be the first week after 3 weeks without a touchdown.
Makes sense to me.
Can't argue with it.
Right.
No.
Trends. Always follow trends.
Yeah, it's a pattern for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go super bold or just regular bold or just stupid, depending on how you look at it. All 3 fit. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be top 10 quarterback. And half of that is me like being pissed at him. And the other half is me actually reading something into the ankle injury. Again, do I think it's as big as, Zach, I trust your judgment. No, I don't think it is. But I just don't see how you rebound with a game like that against the Giants. I don't know how you do it.
My only argument is you dropped him, which typically means he's going to be number 1.
That's
how it usually works.
That is very good as I cry on stream. No.
I will say,
yeah, that is how it works.
I will say, I think the Jets win this game. Take that with what you want. I'm last in Flurry Sports NFL picks right now, but this feels like a trap game for the Eagles. Riding high, they need to get back in the division. Washington's making some ground. Like, we can just stomp the Jets and we'll have a free week. I don't know. I feel like the Jets can cause some damage. It could really hurt the Eagles' chances at division and maybe even playoffs with this game.
Also, as disgusting as it is to admit, I'm in first of the picks and Luke is only 3 picks behind me, and he has 1 correct. So we'll see how that works. Zach is in a close second with 3. So we really should have stopped making bold predictions a lot earlier, but hey, you had them all together.
I'm just getting hot, man. What are you talking about? Just stopped.
You just got one washed, baby.
So yeah, you got one washed in week 12 and 1/2 partially correct that we gave you the point on in week 10.
Yep.
He's on a roll. Okay, so that was the fantasy ranking show. If you have any fantasy football questions, you can leave them in the chat or comments if you are on YouTube. We'll be back in like 10-ish minutes to talk Packers bye week, Pro Bowl selections, and whatever else we get into, I guess. So come back for that.